Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and learning about the Rhein Center. This will be my fourth summer working and managing the Rhein Center. So the agenda for tonight is we're going to look at how it started, just a brief history of the Rhein Center and how it look back at how it started, what our plans are for celebrating 25 years. We're going to look at some programs coming up, the artists in residence and some art camps, curriculum for this summer, as well as then looking ahead to the future vision. Okay, there we go. So how it all started. So it went from Epworth League to the Arts Center. The Epworth League building was built in 1919, and the Epworth League headquarters, and that really is the predecessor, which I was surprised to learn, of the United Methodist Youth Fellowship. A very active building at the time. The building expanded through the years as its function changed from being a youth meeting space to a dorm to a dining hall, and finally it became a storage unit. During those times, it was almost raised twice in 1960 and 1986, and then it was not raised. The stage and the restrooms were added in 1965. But then at the point when it was a storage building and it was in pretty bad shape, the Rhein family donated money in memory of their son, C. Kirk Rhein Jr., who unfortunately died on the TWA flight that was leaving New York and going to, I believe it was Paris. And that was in 1996. The family, with all the various memorial contributions and support they received, they decided to take some of that money as seed money for the Rhein Center. So hence the name C. Kirk Rhein Jr. Center for the Living Arts. So with that happening, they made major structural and cosmetic repairs, and the building was finally dedicated as I said, the C. Kirk Rhein Jr. Center for the Living Arts on August 8th of 1999. The tents were added in 2012 and then replaced in 2018 and 2019. So that brings us up to today. But I wanted to I think the pictures are really cool. As you can maybe can see here, this building, I got to move all the heads here. This building right here was the original Epworth League headquarters. It's as you can see, it's much smaller than what we have today. That's because the porches weren't added. So a couple of years after this, they added the porches in 1921. It makes the building look quite different. They're kind of grayed out, but this is a photo here of looks like some kind of lecture or something going on. But it really changed the profile of the building with the porches. Now, since then, excuse me, the porches have been enclosed, except on the one side, which is the side facing 6th Street. The building, as I said, it was a dormitory at one time. It was a cafeteria. Apparently, even when it was built as the Epworth League headquarters, it was considered also a mess hall, is the terminology I found. These are photos from looking at the fashion and the hair. It's probably late 20s, possibly early 30s. This one down here at the bottom, I think, was marked like a 1950s bridal shower. So that's interesting, or bridal reception. But over here in the upper left-hand corner and over here on this picture here is a sign. If you zoom in, it says, and this is what I put here: smile, make it snappy. Someone behind you may want to eat. and the prices for the food are listed on this back wall here, and ice cream was 10 cents. So thought that was fun to add. So that brings us to celebrating 25 years of the Rhein Center, 1999 to 2024. Our plans for the Rhein Center to celebrate, we hope to have a real big show in the July 4th parade. We will be a stop on the Lakeside Symphony Orchestra's Candlelight Showcase on August 7th. They will actually be performing on the porch. The very next day, we will have our official anniversary celebration on August 8th. We're hoping to bring in some of the past managers and directors, and hopefully maybe some of the Rhein family as well. The Lakeside Heritage Society will be doing a lecture on August 11th at, I think, their usual time. That's a Sunday, and it's usually, I think, at 1:30. I'm planning to get historical photos blown up and displayed throughout the Rhein Center, and hopefully then like a little photo album flip book that will also be on display. If any of you are familiar with the beautiful Mayfly mural that was done by Beth Sage this past summer, she's going to be returning, and will be, first we were talking about a mural to celebrate the Rhein Center. And I said, I really didn't want a mural that specifically said Rhein Center 25 years, because it dates the mural. I said, how about if instead we have one that just celebrates the arts at Lakeside? So, so that is in the works, and we're working with the design review board to make sure that we're, where's the best place to place it, and that kind of thing. So that's in the works, and it's going to be very exciting. She'll be here in July painting that. And then we have some additional special programming that that I'm going to be discussing here in a moment. One of which is this. Sayaka Gans is an internationally acclaimed artist. She works in discarded plastic pieces. These beautiful sculptures are made with a wire frame, and then she attaches, it can be plastic spoons, plastic bottles, little bits of industrial plastic. And she makes these gorgeous sculptures out of discarded plastic. And so she's going to be here for a week. It will be, we haven't set the exact dates, but it'll be sometime between June 15th and June 30th. She's going to be teaching some classes. She's going to do some jewelry making with the discarded plastics. She will also teach a class on making a simple jellyfish from the discarded plastic that you hang down. She will do a lecture about her work as an artist. And some other, I'm blanking out. There was another thing that she was going to be teaching as well. The other thing. She's going to actually, as part of her residency, is she will be doing a small sculpture from discarded plastic that we get to keep here at, becomes the property of Lakeside. So very excited about this. I saw this gal first years ago at Terra Community College and have been wanting to get connected with her for a long time. So I'm very excited about this. Another special program, Linda Zoltan Wood is returning. She was here last year. She painted the murals that ended up going on the underpass of the dock, that going out to the dock. Those colorful two murals were painted in honor of the 150th. She's going to return this year and once again facilitate the July 4th parade prep, which are some of the pictures you see here that were extremely popular, and people were like, oh my God, this is great, because then we don't have to, when we come here, we don't have to come supplied with things to decorate the bikes and everything so we'll supply all that again, and hopefully we'll have even more people involved with that. This picture over here that looks like plants, that's part of a program she's going to be doing for the first time here at Lakeside called Veggie Heroes and Fruit Sidekicks. And it's a fun program. It has to do with nutrition and showing how food and nutritious food can be fun. And the kids will create a veggie hero and a veggie hero's sidekick made of fruit. They'll draw comic books. They'll do then make some puppets, do some puppet shows, and all the while also, learning about nutrition. And they'll probably make a trip up to the community garden. So very excited about this. She does a lot of other things that we would love to have her do, but we may have to put those off until for further years, just to for fiscal sake. But we are Gretchen's done some wondrous things in trying to get some donors to come forward to help us bring these programs to fruition, no pun intended. And so we're this is at this point it'll be the Veggie Heroes and Fruit Sidekicks, and I think that shall be a lot of fun. And we also have Hannah Matthias, who is actually a local music educator in this Sandusky City Schools. And she was very excited when I asked if she would be interested in coming here. We haven't defined exactly how much time she will be here, but she's very excited at the prospect. And when she saw what we had in the way of instruments, she said, "Oh my gosh, you guys, we could do an Orff ensemble." And I went, "What the heck is an Orff ensemble?" And she said that Orff was a gentleman, a German gentleman. That's his last name. Unfortunately, I don't recall his first name. And he was a preeminent music educator and came up with this type of educational style, if you will, aimed at young children, and it's to feed into their basic desire to play. And so you're learning music through playing. They'll do some dance. They may actually make some little musical instruments. It has a lot to do with rhythm and finding sound all over, not just using specific musical instruments, but just finding, like, using a solo cup and making music with a solo cup. So this is something I'm very excited about this happening in 2024. And then we have our theater camps are returning. Very excited about this. This is under the auspices of the Rhein Center and through, obviously, the Department of Education, our education pillar, I should say. We have Heidelberg University is coming back with their Broadway boot camp. Last year, it was for grades like 3 through 12, all as one group. And they decided, no, that didn't work as well. So this year, they're going to break it up into 2 groups, one being the Broadway boot camp for grades 3 through 8. That will be July 22nd through the 25th. Then we have the Heidelberg University Musical Theater Intensive, which will be grades 9 through 12, high school. That will be a 5-day workshop. It will be taking place at the same time as the Broadway boot camp. The Broadway boot camp will be in the morning with the younger kids. The afternoon hours will be the high school musical theater intensive. And like I said, that one, the one for the high school kids goes one extra day. That will go through Friday. Both programs end with a performance. And last year, I think the performance ended up being on Walnut. But we're hoping that maybe we can find a different location this year, but we're working on that. Both of those programs, they are, like I said, through Heidelberg, and as many of you may know, Pam and Michael Schertz also work with Heidelberg University, and they will be involved with these musical theater boot camps as well. So that's exciting for us. Then we have another theater camp that follows right on the heels of the Heidelberg music camps. That's the Croswell Opera House Theater Camp. They were here last year. They did something that had to do with pirates, if I recall. This year, they're thinking of doing Honk, the musical. And if anybody is aware of or not aware of Honk, the musical, it's a delightful program that's a funny take on the ugly duckling story. And so that would be a lot of fun with the Croswell Opera House. One thing I do want to just backtrack with the Heidelberg that I forgot to mention is this picture just reminded me that they will also be doing some princess teas and a variety of other, just maybe some pop-up fun dance events on Walnut Plaza and some other fun activities for kids. So we get a lot of bang for our buck with these theater camps, and they were extremely well received. I mean, they sold out literally within minutes last year. So we are increasing our numbers. Heidelberg said that they think they can take up to 40 kids for the grades 3 through 8, the little kids, and they'll take up to 25 for the musical theater intensive with the high school kids. And John, let me interrupt if I'm wrong here. The Croswell Opera House, did they have a limit of 25 for theirs?
I believe it was 35.
35. Thank you. Okay, I couldn't remember, but thank you. Croswell Opera House, for those who may not know, is out of Adrian, Michigan. Is it Adrian? No. Yeah, Adrian, Michigan, just across the border. And they did a great program last year. And one of the differences between the two is the Croswell Opera House, when they come with a costumer and a stage manager, and the kids are actually putting on a full a more, I guess, maybe a more prepared show. Whereas the Heidelberg, it's more they're doing a lot of little skits and smaller pieces, and we'll be doing a finished something to show, but I don't think it will have like props and costumes and that kind of thing. So that's the theater camps. We're very excited about that. And so what's our regular curriculum going to be at the Rhein Center this year? Well, this is a list of some of the new classes we're having, in addition to our tried and true classes of oh my gosh, Jan Foy's bubblegum jar that every kid, you can't grow up in Lakeside without doing Jan Foy's bubblegum jar, and all the standards of watercolor classes and oil painting and birdhouses and all that. We have these some very fun classes. Patio donut ornament. That's a felting. It's a wool felting process. It's very easy and a lot of fun. We'll do poured paint jewelry with Bev Beatty. She's been doing poured paint, but this is where you take the skin off the leftover poured paint that dries, and it becomes like a rubbery skin, and you can cut that and make really cool jewelry with it. Jan Foy's got a couple new classes, a button bracelet and a cork birdhouse. Crochet, for those of you who may not know, is a very big thing now. Everyone's back to doing crochet. Everything fluctuates, going in and out of style. Well, crochet's big again. So we have several classes. One it's actually, you call it finger crochet because it's like you're using your fingers in the crocheting process as opposed to a crochet hook. We have our very own Denise Robinson, who is our aquatics director. Will be she is quite the crochet artisan, and she will be doing some, yes, you read it right, crochet balloons. They actually make, I guess, fantastic water balloons, and they're reusable, so they're good for the environment. And what kid doesn't love water balloons? And then we'll actually be expanding on the crocheting and knitting, and have some more. Denise or some other folks will be teaching some crochet down at the teen center, and we'll have some knit-ins on the porch where people can come up and if they already knit or they just want a little assistance with an expert, can come up and just work on their projects on the porch on a lovely Monday evening. We have quite a few dance classes that are new this year. We have a world dance and a new instructor teaching world dance. Jill Bates will be returning this year. She's been primarily doing dance classes for children, but will this year be doing beginning tap for adults. And so that's something myself I would love to try out. I've always thought it would be a fun thing to do. And what's kind of neat is she structures the class. She makes it very individual. So she works at your level. So if somebody comes in and maybe they've done some tap as kids, but they haven't done it in ages, or maybe they've never done tap at all and just want to see what it feels like to do it, they can come in. You can come in for multiple classes, and she'll adjust your routines to fit your level. So she's a great teacher that way. We have a new gal coming in from Bowling Green who teaches dance at Bowling Green, and she's going to be teaching a class on Disney dance, Beyonce dance. There should be an accent mark on Beyonce, and theater dance. So those are, I'm sure the kids are going to love those, and adults too. Why not? We have somebody coming in teaching poetry and prose. Stephanie Thompson is one of our regular instructors, and one of her new projects this year is making doggy bandanas. I think that'll be popular. We have a gal coming in. She was supposed to come in last year. Unfortunately, had an accident, could not come in last year. So she's coming in doing these gorgeous macrame and knotting pieces where you do this beautiful, what's called a Turk's knot doormat and a monkey fist doorstop, and among some other neat projects. We've got Margaret Martin's coming in and going to do something new this year with fabric covered pumpkins. We have some music writing workshops going on, plus the infamous Stuffy Sleepover. Now, if you're not familiar with Stuffy Sleepovers, let me just tell you that it's been an extremely popular event at the Fine Print bookstore. For years, it was kids would show up, and they would show up with their stuffed animal, otherwise known as a stuffy, and the stuffed animal would spend the night at the Fine Print bookstore, and the kids would get photos taken of themselves with their stuffed animal, and then there'd be pictures taken to show the kids the next day of the stuffed animals being read stories at the bookstore, and then the stuffed animals would escape and run around and do different things around campus. And the kids would be delighted the next morning to see these pictures of their stuffed animals swinging on the swings, or being in Hoover, or doing eating ice cream at the patio. This year, in honor of the Rhein Center's anniversary, the Stuffy Sleepovers will be taking place at the Rhein Center, and the stuffed animals will be able to, once they're tucked into bed, will somehow find a way into the clay studio and the stained glass studio and the sewing studio, and they'll be having all kinds of fun doing those things. And the kids will then, the next day, will get to pick up their stuffed animal with a little sticker on the stuffed animal saying, "I spent the night at the Rhein Center." So that's our big plans for the Stuffy Sleepover. And of course, we have on average at least about 1,000 classes a summer, and with about 100 instructors. So this is just a sampling, a highlight of some of the new things that we're doing this year. So the class schedule. Well, we listened. You requested, and we listened. We are going to just in answer to there's no sense in us offering lots of classes that people can't partake in early in the season, because a lot of people aren't even here yet, or they're so busy. Kids aren't, they're still in school. People are still getting their cottages open. So we've decided to offer more open studio time during that, so it's more flexible. We'll reduce the classes that we offer because they tend to not fill anyway, quite honestly. We'll reduce the classes, but have a lot more open studio, and the classes we offer will focus more on adults, since the kids are still in school those first 3 weeks. Then the last 3 weeks, we'll repeat that schedule again. One of the advantages of this is that, number one, when my staff first starts in early or very late May rather, and in early June, they're still learning where things are, how the processes are. So this will help them ease into the procedures at the Rhein Center. And then when I lose, as we all do, we lose our staff in August because they head back to college. This will help make it an easier transition for me to be able to handle the Rhein Center with very limited staffing. The prime season, the middle 8 weeks, we will return to our regular class schedule where we'll have 3 sessions a day. We'll have our regular hours. Monday evening classes will then be introduced, focusing on adult classes, not always just adults, but focusing on that. And then our open studio will continue on Saturdays. So that's our schedule for 2024. Looking back at the Rhein Center, I wasn't able to access all my files again because of my hard drive crashing, but I did have these that in 2019, I took over the Rhein Center in 2021, right after COVID. And actually, we were still under COVID rules at the start of that summer. But the last summer prior to COVID was 2019. And that was under Michelle Johansson. I think that was the record attendance year of 10,320 students came through the Rhein Center. And then COVID hit. The numbers, obviously, the way a lot of the classes were virtual, or you could only have, I think, max 4 kids in a class. So things were way reduced during the COVID summer. Then Michelle stayed on as a consultant, helping me in the summer of 2021. And you can see, obviously, it's what I call a rebuilding or a rebounding year. And this is not this isn't just dealing with the Rhein Center, but it's indicative of Lakeside as a whole, as we are building up out of that COVID summer. And so we last year had almost 9,000. So we're getting up there. We're trying to get back up to that wonderful attendance mark. So that's attendance. And let me see where we go here. So looking ahead beyond 2024, things that I would love to see happen at the Rhein Center. First of all, I'd like to say that I'd like to really expand the definition of living arts. And that's actually, you're kind of seeing that happening now with the increased dance classes, more theater focus. The living arts involves, all the arts. Honestly, I mean, we could do culinary programs if we had the capacity there, which we don't. But I mean, we could really do a lot of things. I'd love to have even more STEM kind of classes. We've had some, like, we had a gentleman who used to teach how to make I can't think of like how to make the science of making bubbles. And so I mean, and I'm thinking actually he's coming back this year. So I'd love to expand into those kinds of things. I'd love to expand the idea of the art center at the Rhein Center, where we since the art center or the Rhein Center originally started with the idea that it was for young people. It was kind of and then adults were like, hey, can't we have some fun too? And so but I've had other adults say, especially adults who already have some artistic skills or experience, say, well, we'd love to have classes that are focusing on those of us who have some skills but want to really improve. So I'd love to kind of build this kind of little family, if you will, a subset of the Rhein Center that really focuses on particularly adults or older students, older kids who have skills that they really want to build on with professionals. I'd love to see us be able to have month or summer-long residencies, artists in residence who are here for a long period of time, and students of theirs could walk away with a certificate saying, I studied under this, renowned person. I can see that happening. I'd love to have more youth workshops like we're having with Heidelberg and with Croswell Opera House. And I'd love to have, we're already offering classes in the fall with our, extended, we have the open house in the fall, and we have some classes in the fall. I'd love to see that expanded to actually like multi-day workshops in the fall, where again, we could invite, oil painters across the country to come here, or watercolorists to come, and or sculptors to come here and take in the beauty that is Lakeside and have that as inspiration for creating their art. So that's what I would love to see. One thing it dawned on me is I really didn't, when I was talking about the history of the Epworth Lodge itself, and then becoming the Rhein Center, that I didn't really say that it did indeed start really more with a focus on young people, more of actually like a teen center. and it was first run with the pastor at the United Methodist Church here in Lakeside. Actually ran it, and she did that for one summer, and then it was handed down through these 25 years, and so Michelle, I think, taught for 5 years. I think one other person taught for 5. So I'm getting up there yeah, with the amount of years I've been there at the Rhein Center, but looking forward to many more. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for spending your evening learning about the Rhein Center.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Thank
This
you,
is
Phil.
fabulous. Thank you all. This is great.